that tightness in your chest, the one that whispers catastrophe is lurking just beyond the horizon. What if the ancient solution to dissolving that fear is more straightforward than you've ever been taught? You've been conditioned to believe that security comes from controlling every variable, every outcome, every person in your life. But the Stoic philosophers discovered a radical truth that completely redefines the game. They realized that worry isn't triggered by events themselves, it's triggered by our interpretation of those events. Let that sink in for a moment. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the known world, could have been consumed by endless fears. Assassination, betrayal, war, plague. Yet he wrote in his private journal, the very text we now call Meditations, a simple but devastating question. If you are distressed by anything external, is the distress due to your own judgment about it? This question is the key that unlocks everything we're about to explore. Because once you understand that your mind is the only battlefield that actually matters, you stop fighting shadows and start fighting what's real. So, let's walk through 5 practical, time-tested strategies from Stoicism that will rewire your anxious brain and hand you back the reins of your life. The first strategy is the bedrock of Stoic practice. It's called the Dichotomy of Control. And it's deceptively simple. You must categorize every single thing you encounter into one of 2 boxes. Box 1, things you can control. Box 2, things you cannot control. Now, here's where it gets uncomfortable. Look at your list of worries right now. Your health? Partially in your control. But a sudden accident? Not in your control. Your reputation? You can influence it, but you cannot control what people whisper behind your back. Your finances? You can earn, save, and invest. But you cannot control market crashes or unexpected disasters. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. The moment you accept that most of your anxiety is tied to things outside your sphere of influence, you free up massive mental energy. This isn't about passivity. It's about tactical focus. You pour your effort into your judgments, your actions, your responses. Everything else, you release with a clear conscience. Ask yourself this right now. What is one worry I'm holding that is completely outside my power? Identify it, breathe, and let it go. The second strategy is what the Stoics called the Inner Citadel. Imagine your mind as a fortress. The walls are thick, the gates are solid, and you are the commander within. Nothing gets inside unless you allow it. Epictetus, the former slave who became a legendary teacher, said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." The world outside that fortress is constantly shouting, attacking, and testing you. But if your walls are built from reason and self-awareness, those attacks become nothing more than noise. When you feel that spike of anxiety, perhaps during a difficult conversation, or when you see a concerning news headline, visualize that fortress. Are you letting the storm in? Or are you watching it through the glass, knowing it will pass? This practice transforms you from a victim of circumstance into a sovereign of your own inner world. Every time you successfully keep your composure in a stressful moment, you are reinforcing those fortress walls. You are proving to yourself that you are not at the mercy of external chaos. You are the master of your responses, not the slave to your impulses. The third strategy is a powerful visualization exercise often called the view from above. This one is beautiful in its simplicity. When a worry is consuming you, zoom out. Imagine yourself floating high above your current location. See your house, your city, your country, the entire planet, a tiny blue marble in the vast darkness of space. Now, look back down at your problem, that argument you had, that deadline that's stressing you out, that fear of what someone might think. From this vast perspective, how much does it truly matter? Marcus Aurelius reflected on the brevity of life and the insignificance of most of our squabbles. He realized that we are all tiny sparks of consciousness that flicker and fade in the grand scheme of things. This isn't meant to depress you, it's meant to liberate you. Will this worry matter in 5 years? In 5 months? In 5 days? Usually, the answer is no. By expanding your perspective, you shrink the problem. You realize that you have the capacity to see life as a story unfolding, rather than a series of crises to be survived. This practice brings immediate relief and clarity, allowing you to respond with wisdom instead of reacting with panic. The fourth strategy is perhaps the most counterintuitive, yet it's a favorite of the Stoics. It's called Premeditatio Malorum, or the premeditation of evils. This means you take a moment to actively imagine the worst-case scenarios you fear. Now, wait a second. Isn't that just asking for more anxiety? Not if you do it correctly. The goal is not to dwell in fear, but to prepare your mind for it. If you lose your job, what happens next? You might have to budget differently. Look for new opportunities or lean on your skills. If you face rejection, you will survive it, perhaps even find a new path. Seneca, the tragic playwright and Stoic advisor, would remind himself each morning, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." By playing out the worst that could happen, you realize that you have the internal resources to handle it. You desensitize yourself to the fear. The imagined monster becomes less terrifying when you stare it in the face. Try this tonight. Sit in a quiet room and deliberately imagine a difficult situation you've been avoiding. Walk through it in your mind. See yourself handling it, struggling a bit, but ultimately surviving. You'll wake up tomorrow feeling stronger and more prepared for anything life throws your way. Fortune favors the prepared mind, not the fearful one. The fifth and final strategy is the art of acquiescence. This is the Stoic practice of embracing fate, or amor fati, loving your fate. This doesn't mean you become a doormat. It means you accept the reality of what is happening right now, rather than fighting against it. The Stoics believed that the universe unfolds in a logical, if not always comfortable, order. When you resist reality, you create internal friction. This friction is the source of anger, frustration, and persistent worry. When you accept what you cannot change, you flow with life's current, instead of being battered by the rapids. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart." What would change if you stopped fighting your current situation and simply started working with it? The most powerful shift occurs when you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this situation asking of me?" This subtle shift in perspective transforms you from a victim into a student of life. Every challenge becomes a class in resilience, patience, and strength. When you practice acquiescence, you stop wasting energy on denial and start building momentum for your next positive action. So here we are. 5 ancient tools reimagined for your modern mind. The Dichotomy of Control, the Inner Citadel, the View from Above, the Premeditation of Evils, and the Art of Acquiescence. You are not powerless. You never were. The power was always in your perception, in your choices, in the fortress of your own mind. The world will always throw challenges at you. That's the nature of existence. But your response? That is entirely up to you. If this video resonated with you, if it gave you even a sliver of peace or a new way to approach your fears, please hit that like button and subscribe to MindForge. We're building a community of thoughtful, resilient people who refuse to be victims of their own minds. Worry is a misuse of imagination. Use it to build, not to destroy.